The innocent man was ridiculed for being a virgin, until the Apache girl chose him in front of everyone. He always walked alone. In a colony full of ambitious and daring humans, Liam was quiet, cautious, and, some would say, awkward. His colleagues often whispered about him in the hallways of the central habitat dome. They laughed at him for being inexperienced, for being shy, and for being a man who had never known love. But Liam didn't mind. Not really. He had books. He had machines. He had ideas. That was enough. Yet he could not ignore the sting of public ridicule, especially when the mockery came from people he saw every day in the crowded corridors of the colony. Today was worse than usual. The annual Frontier Games were approaching, a tradition in the colony that celebrated courage, intelligence, and endurance. Everyone was talking about it, especially the younger colonists. Teams were forming, alliances were being made, and excitement filled the air like static electricity. Liam, however, was invisible in all of this. "Hey, Liam," shouted Jerk, a broad-shouldered man known for his bravado. "Don't trip over your own feet while you're standing there. Maybe the Frontier Games will teach you how to speak to humans." A few people laughed. Liam's face flushed red, but he ignored them. Walking away only made the laughter louder. He wished he could disappear into one of the colony's storage corridors and be left alone. From a distance, a pair of sharp, observant eyes watched him. Mika, a young Apache woman known for her courage and intelligence, leaned against the railing of the upper dome. Her hair was braided neatly, and her posture radiated confidence. She had already proved herself in previous colony missions and was admired for her leadership and skill. Most importantly, she did not care for gossip, and yet she watched Liam with curiosity. There was something different about him, she thought, something quiet but strong. Liam continued his walk past the colony's workshop sector. The hum of machinery was familiar and comforting. He preferred the company of tools and circuits to the chatter of other colonists. Inside the workshop, he paused at a corner where a half-built drone rested. Its frame was incomplete, wires sticking out like limbs. Liam knelt and adjusted a loose sensor with meticulous care. "Still working on your little toys, huh?" came a voice. This time it was Mara, a fellow technician. She smiled kindly, though a little teasingly. "You do know the Frontier Games are about action, right? Not fixing circuits all day," Liam smiled faintly. "I know, but maybe one day action will need circuits too. Someone has to build the devices before someone else can use them." Mara nodded, impressed. "You always think ahead. That's rare." Rare. That was the word Liam had heard many times. Rare in his thinking, rare in his approach, rare in experience. Rare, yes, but not weak. Not anymore. The day passed slowly. The colony's main plaza became crowded with chatter, laughter, and debate. The announcement board flickered with updates about the Frontier Games, trials of endurance, challenges of intelligence, and tests of survival. Teams were forming in groups of 2 or 3, pairing the daring with the clever, the fast with the smart. Liam watched from the edge, leaning against a support pillar. Every colonist seemed to have a partner already. He had none. And though he had grown used to solitude, the feeling of being left out stung sharply today. Then Mika approached. She was a striking figure as she walked through the crowd, her presence commanding attention without a word. Liam's heart skipped a beat, but he quickly pushed the feeling aside. She stopped in front of him and looked down, her eyes assessing. "Liam," she said quietly, yet firmly, "why are you standing here alone?" I guess I don't have a partner," he admitted, voice barely above a whisper. Mika tilted her head, thoughtful. "You're smart. You think carefully. I like that. I need someone for the games who can think, not just run fast or shout loud. You'll do." Liam blinked. "Me, really?" She nodded. "Yes, if you want, but I warn you the games will test everything. Your courage, your intelligence, your endurance. You can't hide behind silence there." He swallowed nervously but nodded. "I'll try." "Good." She smiled faintly and walked away. Liam felt a warmth he had not expected. Not the warmth of romantic attraction, though he admitted he felt a flutter of nervous excitement, but the warmth of recognition. Someone had noticed him. Someone had seen potential where others had seen weakness. The next morning, the games began. The first challenge was announced over the colony's loudspeakers, a simulation of a critical emergency scenario. Each team had to solve a complex problem while under pressure. Colonists watched, betting quietly on who would fail and who would succeed. Liam and Mika stood side by side, their small team dwarfed by larger, flashier pairs. "Don't worry about what others think," Mika whispered. "Focus on the task." The task required building a temporary communication array to relay signals across the colony dome after a simulated system failure. Liam's fingers moved quickly, connecting wires and configuring sensors. Mika handled the manual adjustments and provided guidance. Some of the larger, more boisterous teams struggled. Liam and Mika's small, quiet efficiency impressed onlookers. Whispers spread, "That quiet one, he's not as useless as we thought." By the end of the first trial, their array worked flawlessly. The announcement board flashed their names in green. Liam and Mika, successful completion. A small cheer rose from the crowd, and for the first time, Liam felt a sense of pride that was not tied to solitude or machines. Later that day, the colonists gathered in the main hall for the second challenge, a test of courage and quick thinking in simulated zero-gravity conditions. Liam's hands trembled slightly as he adjusted to the weightless environment, but Mika remained calm. "Trust your instincts." "You've prepared for this," she said. The challenge was more dangerous and unpredictable than the first. Liam's mind raced. He remembered every schematic, every calculation, every adjustment he had made while building drones and devices. Slowly, carefully, he navigated the obstacles, solving problems no one else had anticipated. Mika followed his lead, trusting his judgments. At the end, the crowd erupted. Liam had performed exceptionally, and Mika's subtle nods of approval made him feel that he belonged. Even Jerk, who had mocked him before, offered a grudging smile. By the evening, Liam's reputation had shifted. He was no longer merely the shy, inexperienced man. People saw his intelligence, his courage under pressure, and his willingness to step forward despite ridicule. And someone else had noticed as well. Mika approached him quietly away from the crowd. "You did well today," she said simply. "I knew you could. Most people just talk, you act, that's what matters." Liam's lips curved into a small, genuine smile. "Thank you. I didn't expect that." Mika's eyes sparkled faintly in the dim evening light. "Sometimes the unexpected is the most powerful thing." Liam nodded, feeling a strange mixture of pride and humility. For the first time in his life, he felt seen, truly seen. And he knew that tomorrow, when the games continued, the challenges would be harder. But he also knew he was no longer alone. As the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the colony, Liam looked up at the sky. The stars of this distant system shimmered with possibilities. Maybe, just maybe, the ridicule of yesterday would become the respect of tomorrow. And for the first time, Liam didn't feel invisible. He felt ready. The morning sun of Eos Colony rose slowly over the greenish horizon, spilling its light across the sleek, silver domes and winding pathways. Liam woke early, his mind buzzing with thoughts of the frontier games. Yesterday had been the first taste of victory, but today promised something far more challenging. He dressed quickly and grabbed his toolkit, nerves tingling with anticipation. Mika was already waiting at the plaza, leaning casually against the railing with her arms crossed. Her eyes caught his the moment he arrived, and she gave a small nod. No words were needed. They were partners now, and the first day's success had formed a silent bond between them. The crowd had begun to gather even earlier than the previous day. Rumors had spread about Liam's sudden display of skill and courage, and curiosity mixed with skepticism filled the air. Some colonists whispered that he had simply been lucky yesterday, while others were beginning to wonder if he might actually be capable of more. Liam felt the weight of their eyes but pushed it aside. He had to focus. Before the games could begin, an urgent announcement echoed through the colony's intercom system. "Attention, colonists! A potential threat has been detected near the perimeter. A hostile alien probe has entered the outer atmosphere and is moving toward the colony. All teams are to prepare for an immediate contingency simulation as part of today's exercises." A ripple of surprise went through the crowd. The Frontier Games had always been controlled, predictable challenges designed to test skill and strategy, but this was different. It was real, or at least close enough to feel real. Liam's heart raced. He glanced at Mika. She remained calm, her posture steady and confident. "We'll handle it," she said simply. Her words carried no doubt, only certainty. Teams were quickly organized. The challenge required pairs to neutralize the alien probe by building a temporary communications relay. The relay would help the colony's defense systems locate and disable the probe before it could cause damage. Mika and Liam were paired again, as if the system itself had chosen them. "Let's go," Mika said, leading the way to the prep area. Liam followed, toolkit in hand, nerves churning with both excitement and fear. Inside the prep hall, other teams were buzzing with energy. Some shouted plans, others argued over strategies, and a few simply stared, frozen by uncertainty. Liam felt the familiar pang of anxiety, but Mika's calm presence grounded him. "First, we need a plan," she said. "The probe moves unpredictably and we don't have much time. We need precision, not speed. Think carefully before acting." Liam nodded, scanning the components laid out before them: modular relay units, wiring, sensor arrays, and compact power cells. He began calculating the optimal configuration, drawing on every late night spent tinkering with drones in the workshop. While he worked, Mika moved around the prep area, guiding the team through assembly and helping adjust components. She trusted Liam's calculations, following his instructions without question. Slowly, the relay began to take shape. Other teams struggled. One group had wired their array incorrectly, causing a small surge that tripped the system. Another team argued over strategy, losing precious minutes. Liam and Mika moved steadily, calmly, their small size and quiet focus giving them an advantage. Finally, the relay was complete. Liam activated it, sending a test signal through the system. The sensors lit up, connecting with the colony's central defense network. A cheer went up from a few colonists who had been watching. Liam felt a surge of pride, but he did not let it distract him. The probe was still out there, moving closer. "Good," Mika said. "Now we deploy it. Follow my lead." They moved quickly to the colony's outer platform, where the probe could be observed through reinforced viewing panels. It hovered ominously in the pale light, an alien object unlike anything the colonists had seen before. Its surface shimmered, shifting colors as if alive. Liam's hands shook slightly as he connected the relay to the external power module. Mika crouched beside him, checking the alignment of the sensors. "Steady," she whispered. "You've got this." With a deep breath, Liam activated the relay. Data streamed onto the colony's monitors, mapping the probe's movement in real time. The device worked perfectly, predicting the probe's trajectory and sending corrective signals to the colony's defense drones. The probe reacted immediately, attempting to avoid the signals, but Liam's calculations were precise. The relay forced it into a controlled pattern, gradually slowing it down and guiding it toward the colony's capture net. "Almost there," Mika said, her voice steady but tense. "Keep monitoring the sensors." Minutes felt like hours, but finally the probe was safely captured, suspended in the colony's containment grid. The plaza erupted in cheers. Liam's hands trembled as he stepped back, finally allowing himself to smile. Mika gave him a proud nod, her eyes sparkling. "You did it," she said simply. You saved the colony today. Liam felt a rush of emotion. He had always dreamed of making a difference, of being useful, of being seen as more than just the shy, inexperienced man others laughed at. Today he had done it, and someone had noticed. As the crowd gathered around, colonists who had once mocked him approached with congratulations. Jerk, still broad and boisterous, gave him a half-smile. "Guess you're smarter than we thought," he muttered. Liam nodded politely, not needing to say more. The respect in the air was palpable, and it felt strange, yet wonderful. Later, Mika and Liam returned to the prep hall to analyze their performance. "You handled yourself well under pressure," Mika said. "Most people would have panicked." I just tried to focus," Liam replied, feeling a mix of pride and disbelief. "I didn't want to let anyone down." "You didn't let anyone down," she said firmly. "You did exactly what needed to be done. That's what matters." As the day continued, Liam began to notice subtle changes in how others interacted with him. People asked for his advice, sought his opinion on technical matters, and even offered small smiles of acknowledgement. It was a shift that he had never experienced before. He was no longer invisible. That evening, the colonists gathered in the main hall for a briefing on the next challenge. Liam and Mika sat together, quietly discussing strategies and reviewing data from the captured probe. The hall buzzed with excitement and speculation. A sudden alert interrupted the briefing. The colony's sensors had detected a new anomaly, several smaller probes, likely scouts, approaching from the outer atmosphere. The announcement was tense but controlled. The next challenge would require not only intelligence but courage, quick thinking, and coordination under pressure. Mika looked at Liam, her expression calm but serious. "Are you ready?" she asked. Liam took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "I am," he said. "Let's do this." The following hours were intense. Liam and Mika worked side by side, devising a strategy to neutralize the incoming scouts without risking the colony's safety. Liam's calculations, combined with Mika's experience in field operations, allowed them to set up intercept drones, deploy sensor grids, and predict the scouts' movements with astonishing accuracy. Other teams struggled under pressure. Some panicked, while others argued over conflicting strategies. Liam and Mika moved with quiet efficiency, their teamwork seamless and their focus unwavering. Slowly, the scouts were guided into containment fields, neutralized without incident. When the last scout was secured, the plaza erupted in applause. Colonists cheered for Liam and Mika, their respect now undeniable. Liam's heart swelled with a mix of pride and disbelief. He had faced a challenge that no one expected him to succeed at, and he had succeeded brilliantly. Mika leaned close as the crowd dispersed. "You did more than I imagined," she said quietly. "Your intelligence, your courage, you're stronger than anyone gave you credit for." Liam smiled, feeling a warmth he had never known. "Thank you, Mika. I couldn't have done it without you." She shook her head. "No, you could have. You just needed someone to trust in you. That's all." For the first time, Liam truly believed it. He had been underestimated, laughed at, and ridiculed. But now, in the glow of the setting suns and the admiration of the colony, he felt a new sense of purpose. Tomorrow's challenges would be harder, but he was no longer the timid outsider. He was a force to be reckoned with, a man whose courage, intelligence, and determination had earned respect. And standing beside him, calm, capable, and proud, was Mika, his partner, his ally, and perhaps, in time, something more. As night fell over the Eos colony, Liam looked out at the distant stars. The universe was vast, full of unknown dangers and opportunities. And for the first time, he felt ready to face them, not as a shy, ridiculed outsider, but as someone who had proven himself, and had found someone who believed in him. The morning on Eos colony dawned pale and quiet, with the twin suns spilling soft green and golden light across the domes. Liam awoke with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. Yesterday, He and Mika had faced the unexpected alien probe and succeeded. Today, the Frontier Games promised new trials, but Liam felt a creeping sense that the challenges ahead would test more than skill, they would test character. He dressed quickly, tightening the straps on his utility belt and securing his toolkit. Every movement felt purposeful, every breath deliberate. His heart thumped, not with fear but with determination. He had earned respect yesterday, but he knew respect could vanish in the blink of an eye. When he arrived at the plaza, Mika was already waiting. She smiled faintly, the kind of smile that said, "We are ready." "You seem calm," Liam said, his voice betraying his nervousness. "I've learned something," Mika replied. "Courage isn't about being fearless. It's about acting even when fear is there. You've already proven you can do that." Liam nodded, drawing strength from her words. Together, they moved toward the announcement stage, where the colony leaders were explaining today's challenge. The challenge was announced as a multi-level survival and engineering exercise. Teams would navigate a simulated disaster zone, a collapsed habitat dome, while restoring vital energy nodes. The catch: time was limited, obstacles were unpredictable, and success required intelligence, courage, and quick problem-solving. As the teams dispersed to the simulation site, Liam noticed the usual bravado of his peers. Some laughed nervously, some boasted about their strength, and others simply stared, unsure how to proceed. Liam felt the familiar pang of doubt creeping in, but Mika's steady presence beside him helped him focus. "Let's start by analyzing the map," Mika suggested. "We need a strategy before we act. Think like engineers, not soldiers." Liam nodded, spreading out the holographic blueprint of the simulated dome. Every corridor, collapsed structure, and energy node was marked. He studied the map, tracing potential paths and identifying hazards. Mika watched carefully, offering insight from her experience in field operations. "Your calculations are precise," she said. "I like that. If we follow this plan, we can avoid unnecessary risks." They moved swiftly into the simulation. Liam led the way, stepping carefully over rubble and unstable surfaces. Mika followed, guiding him past hidden pitfalls and checking structural weaknesses. The first obstacle appeared. A collapsed energy node blocked their path. Sparks flew, wires hung loose, and the simulation emitted a low, warning hum. Liam knelt down, examining the components. His hands moved quickly, connecting circuits and rerouting power with the precision of someone who had spent years tinkering in workshops. "Careful with the connections," Mika warned. "One wrong move and the whole system could fail." Liam nodded, concentrating. Slowly, he adjusted the wiring, his fingers steady despite the pressure. The node powered up, humming steadily. Mika gave a quiet nod of approval. "Good work," she said. "We're on track." The next obstacle was more difficult. A section of the simulation had collapsed entirely, leaving a gap too wide to jump. Most teams attempted the jump blindly and failed, while others debated endlessly on the best approach. Liam studied the problem carefully. "We can use the support beams to create a temporary bridge," he said. "If we distribute the weight evenly, it should hold." Mika raised an eyebrow. "Do you trust your own construction?" "I trust physics," Liam replied confidently. "And I trust we can do it together." They carefully moved beams into place, securing them with cables and clamps. Mika balanced across the first beam, testing its stability, while Liam followed, adjusting tension as needed. Their teamwork was seamless, combining his intelligence with her experience. Halfway through the simulation, a sudden complication arose. A simulated gas leak was detected in one of the collapsed corridors. Most teams panicked, retreating to safety, but Liam assessed the situation logically. "We need to redirect airflow to clear the gas," he said. "I can recalibrate the vent controls if Mika covers the access points." Working quickly, Liam adjusted the vent system while Mika monitored the environment. The gas dissipated safely, and the path cleared. The other teams looked on in awe. Liam's quiet ingenuity had turned a potential disaster into a manageable problem. As they progressed, more challenges appeared: blocked passages, unstable platforms, and malfunctioning power nodes. Each time, Liam's mind raced, calculating solutions and adapting strategies. Mika's calm observation and swift action complemented his approach perfectly. Together, they overcame obstacles that had stumped even the most confident teams. During one particularly tricky challenge, a network of sensors failed, threatening to shut down the entire simulation. Most teams froze, unable to think under pressure. Liam knelt on the floor, quickly diagnosing the problem. "The sensors need a temporary bypass," he muttered. "We can reroute power through these auxiliary lines and stabilize the network." Mika handed him tools, following his precise instructions. Within minutes, the sensors came back online, and the simulation continued smoothly. Colonists watching from observation decks whispered in amazement. Liam, the once ridiculed outsider, was proving himself a natural problem solver under pressure. By the afternoon, Liam and Mika reached the final stage of the challenge, restoring the main energy core. The core was heavily damaged, its interface complex and unfamiliar. Most teams hesitated, intimidated by the complexity. Liam took a deep breath and studied the core. "I've seen similar systems in the workshop," he said. "It's complicated, but it's manageable. We just need to follow the sequence carefully." Mika stood beside him, her confidence unwavering. "Lead the way. I trust your judgment." Liam carefully reconnected circuits, monitored energy flows, and adjusted parameters with meticulous precision. Sparks flew, lights blinked, and tension rose in the observation deck. Slowly, the core stabilized. The energy hummed steadily, a sign of success. The crowd erupted in applause, their cheers echoing through the dome. Liam stood, a mix of relief and pride washing over him. He had faced every obstacle calmly, intelligently, and bravely. He had turned every potential failure into a victory. Mika smiled at him, her eyes bright. "You did it, every step, every decision. You were brilliant." Liam felt a warmth he had never experienced before. Not the warmth of attention or praise alone, but the deeper warmth of recognition. Someone had seen him, not just as the shy, inexperienced man mocked by others, but as a capable, intelligent, and courageous human being. Even the colonists who had mocked him before approached with newfound respect. Jerk, who had laughed at his supposed innocence, extended a hand. "I misjudged you," he admitted. "You were amazing today." Liam shook his hand politely. "Thank you, I just did what needed to be done." As the day ended, Liam and Mika returned to the observation deck, reviewing their performance. "You handled yourself under pressure in ways I didn't expect," Mika said. "Most people crumble, but you thrive." Liam shook his head, smiling softly. "I didn't know I could do this either, but having you by my side, it helped," Mika nodded. "Sometimes the right partnership brings out strengths you didn't know you had." That night, as Liam returned to his quarters, he reflected on the day's trials. Each challenge had been a test not only of skill but of character. He had remained calm, thought carefully, and acted decisively. And for the first time, he realized that intelligence and courage were recognized and admired in this colony. Liam felt a shift within himself. The ridicule and whispers of the past no longer held power over him. Each success, each calculated decision, had transformed him from an outsider into someone capable of respect and admiration. He paused by the window, looking out at the twin suns dipping below the horizon, casting long, soft shadows over the colony. The stars of the distant system glimmered like scattered jewels. Liam felt a sense of purpose, of belonging, and of quiet strength. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, perhaps even more difficult than today, but he was no longer afraid. He had discovered a part of himself he hadn't known existed, a mind sharp enough to solve problems, a heart courageous enough to face the unknown, and a spirit determined enough to earn respect. And beside him in this vast and often unforgiving universe stood Mika, the partner who believed in him, trusted him, and silently inspired him to be more than he had ever imagined. For the first time, Liam felt not just capable but unstoppable. The ridicule of the past had faded into a distant memory, replaced by the thrilling certainty that he was finally being seen for who he truly was. And the universe, vast and full of unknown dangers, no longer felt intimidating. It felt like a challenge he was ready to face. The morning light spilled over Eos Colony like liquid gold, reflecting off the smooth silver domes and illuminating the bustling plaza. Today was different. The colonists were no longer whispering or laughing at Liam. No, today, curiosity and respect filled the air. The frontier games had escalated, and the previous challenges had proven that Liam was more than the shy, inexperienced man everyone had once ridiculed. Liam woke early, his mind alive with anticipation. He dressed carefully, securing his toolkit and checking every piece of equipment. Even after yesterday's trials, he knew today would be harder. And yet, for the first time, he did not feel fear, only determination. Mika was already waiting at the plaza, leaning casually against the railing with her usual calm expression. Her presence always steadied him, reminding him that they were a team. "Ready?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with quiet confidence. Liam nodded. "I am. Let's do this." The colony's leaders gathered the participants at the main observation deck. Today's challenge was announced, a complex survival and leadership scenario. Teams would be placed in simulated crisis zones, with multiple tasks requiring both strategic thinking and swift action. Success would not only test skill and courage, but would also determine which team would earn public recognition and honors at the closing ceremony. The challenge began with a dramatic simulation. An earthquake had struck a section of the colony, leaving domes damaged and critical systems offline. Teams were tasked with restoring energy grids, rescuing trapped colonists, and securing unstable structures, all while under time constraints. Most teams panicked immediately, rushing into the chaos without planning. Liam and Mika paused, assessing the situation. "Observe first," Mika said. "Rushing will lead to mistakes. We need a strategy." Liam scanned the simulation map, noting every unstable structure and every energy node that needed repair. He began calculating the optimal sequence for restoring power, minimizing risk while maximizing efficiency. "We should start with the southern energy node," he said. "It's closest to the collapse zone, and stabilizing it will prevent further damage. Then we can move north, securing the structure as we go." Mika nodded approvingly. "Perfect. Let's get to work." They moved through the simulation with quiet precision. Liam's calculations guided every step, and Mika's experience ensured their actions were efficient and safe. Other teams struggled, some panicking, some arguing, while Liam and Mika methodically restored the first energy node. Sparks flew, alarms blared, but Liam's mind stayed calm, solving each problem with skill and logic. By midday, word had spread across the colony. Liam and Mika were excelling. Observers on the viewing decks whispered in amazement. The shy, ridiculed man who had been mocked for his inexperience was now a leader in action, guiding his partner and achieving results that many thought impossible. The next stage of the challenge was even more difficult. A simulated dome section was unstable, with large gaps and precarious platforms. Most teams hesitated, unsure how to proceed. Liam studied the layout carefully. "We can use these support beams to create a path," he said, pointing to a pile of reinforced beams nearby. "We need to distribute the weight evenly and move carefully." Mika helped secure the beams as Liam calculated the exact placement. Together, they crossed the unstable section safely, while other teams struggled or retreated. Liam's methodical approach, combined with Mika's steady presence, made them a formidable pair. As they reached the final task, a massive energy core that had been damaged during the simulated quake. Colonists gathered on the observation deck to watch. Most teams avoided the core, intimidated by its complexity and unfamiliar interface. Liam, however, stepped forward with quiet confidence. "I've worked on similar systems," he said. "It's complicated, but if we follow the sequence precisely, we can stabilize it." Mika stood beside him, her expression calm. "Lead the way, I trust your judgment." Liam carefully reconnected circuits, monitored energy flows, and adjusted parameters. Sparks flew, lights blinked, and tension rose among the observers. Slowly, steadily, the core stabilized. A low hum indicated success, and the crowd erupted in applause. Colonists who had once mocked him approached, now with genuine admiration. Jerk, still broad and confident, offered a hand. "I misjudged you," he admitted. "You've got brains and courage. Today you've earned our respect." Liam shook his hand politely. "Thank you, I just did what was needed." Mika's eyes met his and she gave a small, proud smile. "You've grown, Liam. You've shown what true skill and courage look like. Others will remember this." By evening, the challenge was over, and the results were announced publicly. Liam and Mika's performance had surpassed all other teams. The colony elders, who had once doubted Liam's abilities, praised him openly. A ceremonial announcement was made in the main plaza. "Today, we witnessed extraordinary talent and courage," one elder declared. "Liam and Mika have proven themselves as leaders, problem solvers, and heroes of the colony. Let this be an example to all. Skill, intelligence, and courage are what truly matter." The crowd cheered, and Liam felt a warmth spread through him that had nothing to do with attention. This was recognition, genuine and earned. For the first time, he felt the pride of accomplishment, untainted by ridicule or doubt. As the crowd began to disperse, Mika approached him, her expression calm but her eyes shining. "You did more than just succeed," she said quietly. "You inspired everyone. People who laughed at you now see what you're capable of." Liam smiled, feeling a mixture of relief and humility. I never imagined this," he admitted. "I thought I'd always be the quiet one, the one everyone ignored." "You were never ignored," Mika said firmly. "You were underestimated. And now you've shown everyone your true worth." Then, in a gesture that took Liam completely by surprise, Mika reached out and gently took his hand. She turned toward the crowd and spoke clearly so that everyone could hear. "Liam is someone I trust, someone I admire, and someone I would choose as a partner, not just for the games but in life. He has proven himself beyond any doubt." The plaza went silent for a moment, then erupted in applause and cheers. Liam's face flushed, but this time it was not from embarrassment. It was from pride and a deep sense of gratitude. He had been chosen, respected, and recognized, not for luck, not for charm, but for his courage, intelligence, and integrity. The ceremony concluded with a symbolic medal awarded to Liam and Mika, representing teamwork, ingenuity, and bravery. Liam held the medal carefully, feeling the weight of the moment. This was more than a victory. It was proof that he could rise above ridicule and be seen for who he truly was. Later, as the plaza emptied and twilight painted the sky with soft hues, Liam and Mika walked together along the outer pathways of the colony. The twin suns dipped below the horizon, leaving trails of green and gold light. "You've changed," Mika said softly, "not just in the eyes of the colony but in yourself. Today you became someone who can face anything." "I feel stronger," Liam admitted, "and more confident. But I couldn't have done it without you." "You didn't need me," Mika replied. "I only helped you see what was already there. Your mind, your courage, your heart, they've always been your strengths." They paused at the edge of the colony, looking out at the distant stars. The universe stretched endlessly before them, full of unknown challenges and opportunities. Liam felt excitement mixed with resolve. Whatever came next, he knew he could face it, and he knew he would not face it alone. Mika had chosen him, not because of appearance or luck, but because she recognized the strength, intelligence, and courage that lay within him. That choice, made publicly and with respect, meant more than words could express. As night fell, the colony was quiet, and Liam returned to his quarters with a sense of peace and pride. He had faced trials that tested skill, courage, and character, and he had emerged victorious. He had proven himself to the colony, to Mika, and most importantly, to himself. For the first time in his life, he did not feel invisible, ridiculed, or inadequate. He felt capable, respected, and chosen. And as he drifted to sleep, the stars of the distant system shone above, promising a future full of possibilities, challenges, and adventures waiting to be conquered. Liam was no longer just the shy, ridiculed outsider. He was a hero in his own right, a man whose intelligence, courage, and integrity had earned public recognition, and the trust and admiration of someone he deeply respected. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, yes, but tonight, Liam allowed himself to savor this moment. He had been seen, he had been chosen, and he knew that whatever came next, he would face it with courage, intelligence, and heart. The morning sun rose over Eos Colony, casting soft golden light across the silver domes and winding pathways. The plaza was alive with activity as colonists prepared for the final day of the Frontier Games. This was the day of reflection, honor, and new beginnings. Liam awoke with a sense of purpose he had never felt before. Yesterday had proven his intelligence, courage, and capability, and today he hoped to show that his growth was real and lasting. He dressed carefully, checking his tools one last time, though he doubted he would need them for what awaited. Mika was already waiting at the plaza, calm and poised as always, her eyes catching his the moment he appeared. "Are you ready?" she asked, her voice carrying both confidence and warmth. Liam nodded. "I am. Today feels different, important." Mika smiled faintly. "It is. Today, people will see more than skill. They'll see who you really are. And so will I." The colony elders gathered everyone in the main hall, announcing that today's activities would be more symbolic than practical. Teams would reflect on the challenges they had faced, discuss lessons learned, and demonstrate how they had grown, not just as participants but as members of the colony. Liam and Mika took their place together, sitting quietly while other teams bragged about their accomplishments or discussed minor successes. Liam listened carefully, considering the insights of others but remaining focused on his own journey. The first activity was a discussion circle. Participants were asked to share what they had learned from the challenges. Many spoke of teamwork, courage, or technical skill. When it was Liam's turn, he took a deep breath. "I've learned that being quiet or inexperienced doesn't mean you are weak," he said. His voice, steady and clear, captured everyone's attention. "I've learned that careful thinking, courage, and persistence matter more than loudness or popularity. And I've learned that sometimes the right partner can help you see strengths you didn't know you had." Mika's eyes glimmered with pride as the hall filled with applause. Even those who had once mocked him looked impressed, some nodding silently in agreement. Liam felt a warmth in his chest, a deep sense of belonging and acknowledgement. Next, the teams were asked to demonstrate a practical lesson they had learned. Liam and Mika were tasked with creating a temporary energy relay to showcase efficient problem-solving under pressure. It was a task similar to what they had faced during the games, but this time, the observers included colony elders, teachers, and young students who looked up to the participants as role models. Liam worked quickly and precisely, his hands moving with confidence and experience. Mika assisted, offering guidance when necessary but allowing him to lead. The relay was completed flawlessly, and the energy nodes lit up in sequence, humming steadily as a sign of success. "Excellent work," one elder said. "Your performance has shown intelligence, courage, and leadership. You have demonstrated that true strength lies in thought, action, and collaboration." The colonists cheered, some standing to applaud Liam and Mika. Liam felt a mix of pride and humility. For the first time, he understood that respect and recognition were earned through consistent action, not by appearances or bravado. After the demonstration, the final portion of the day began, a ceremonial recognition of achievement. Each participant was called forward, but it was clear that Liam and Mika were being honored not only for their performance but for the example they had set. When Liam stepped onto the platform, the crowd erupted into applause. Mika stood beside him, smiling proudly. The colony elders presented him with a medal for exemplary courage and ingenuity, a symbol of his journey from ridicule to respect. Liam accepted it carefully, feeling its weight as more than metal. It was the weight of recognition, trust, and honor. As the applause died down, Mika took a step forward. She turned toward the audience, her voice clear and steady. "Today, I want to acknowledge someone who has shown what true courage and intelligence look like," she said. "Liam has proven that being underestimated is never the end of a story. He has shown perseverance, creativity, and bravery that inspire all of us. And I choose him, not for what he was, but for what he has become, as my partner in work, in exploration, and in life." The plaza fell silent for a moment, then erupted into cheers once more. Liam's face flushed, not from embarrassment but from deep gratitude and pride. He had been chosen, recognized, and respected, not for luck or charm but for who he truly was. After the ceremony, Liam and Mika walked together along the outer pathways of the colony. The twin suns were dipping below the horizon, casting long, soft shadows and painting the sky in shades of green and gold. "You've changed," Mika said quietly. "Not just in the eyes of the colony, but in yourself. Today, people see your courage, your intelligence, and your strength. And so do I," Liam smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest he had never experienced before. "I feel different, stronger, confident. But I know I couldn't have done this alone." "You didn't need me to do it for you," Mika replied. "I only helped you see what was already inside. Your mind, your courage, and your heart, they've always been your strengths. You just didn't know it yet." They paused at the edge of the colony, looking out at the distant stars. The universe stretched endlessly before them, full of unknown dangers, opportunities, and adventures. Liam felt excitement, determination, and a quiet joy. "I'm ready," he said softly. "For whatever comes next, with you by my side," Mika smiled. "And I will be. Whatever challenges we face them together." The next days were filled with new projects, exploration plans, and scientific experiments. Liam and Mika worked together, combining his technical ingenuity with her experience and wisdom. The colony watched as their partnership flourished, not only in work but in mutual respect and admiration. Young colonists looked up to them as role models, seeing that intelligence, courage, and character mattered more than bravado or popularity. Liam continued to grow, both in skill and in confidence. He no longer feared public opinion or ridicule. Instead, he embraced challenges as opportunities to demonstrate what humans could achieve through persistence, intelligence, and collaboration. One evening, as they prepared a new energy relay for a distant section of the colony, Liam paused and looked at Mika. "You know," he said, "I never imagined I'd be here like this. I thought I'd always be the quiet one, the one everyone ignored or laughed at." "You were never ignored," Mika said softly. "You were underestimated. And now you've shown the colony and yourself what you are truly capable of. That's what matters." Liam nodded, smiling. The stars above twinkled like scattered jewels, promising endless possibilities. The universe was vast, full of challenges, discoveries, and adventures, and for the first time he felt ready to face it all. "Tomorrow," Mika said, "we explore the northern outpost. There are new systems to test, new devices to build, and new frontiers to discover." "I can't wait," Liam replied, feeling a sense of excitement and determination. "With you, anything seems possible." They walked back toward the colony together, side by side. Liam knew that the days of ridicule, doubt, and being underestimated were behind him. The future was bright, full of challenges that would test intelligence, courage, and character, and he was ready. Ea's colony had seen the shy, ridiculed man transform into a leader, an innovator, and a symbol of perseverance. Mika had seen it too, and together they would face whatever the universe offered, hand in hand, minds aligned, hearts brave, and spirits unyielding. As night fell and the twin moons rose in the sky, Liam looked out over the colony. The stars shone above, and he felt a deep sense of peace, pride, and anticipation. He had been chosen, he had been recognized, and he had proven that true strength came from intelligence, courage, and integrity. The universe was vast and full of challenges, but Liam was ready. And with Mika by his side, he knew there was nothing they could not face. For the first time, he truly felt at home, not just in the colony but in himself. The shy, ridiculed outsider had become a man of respect, courage, and boundless potential. And so, a new chapter began, one of exploration, discovery, partnership, and endless possibilities. Liam and Mika walked together into the future, ready for every challenge, every adventure, and every triumph that awaited them in the stars.